I'm back again. Now, what I want to talk about in this video is wealth profiling. You see, because we use the Fortune 500 profiling systems, we actually hire in the experts that work with all the Fortune 500 companies, and they put our people through the corporate profiling. So we don't actually employ anybody in the company. They're all subcontracted out, including the CEO, the CFO, everybody else. They're not actually in the company. So they can operate from home, they can minimise their taxation through the right corporate structure that we set up for them to minimise their taxation and everything else, and provide them security. So that's all good. And running without employees, because the moment you've got employees, you've got all sorts of trouble. So this is the way to do business, we believe, in the future, in outsourcing everything to the leaders in each industry, and to make sure they win in business and we win in business. So what we're doing, those who become members of our community, who share our vision for our children, which is to create a happy future for our children and our children's children, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous. And the only possible way of doing that is through engineered transmigration, through working through the frontier and emerging markets and transforming their nations into sustainable economies, right? Using, transforming them from high consumption, fossil fuel and automobile-based economies into low consumption, service and information-based economies, right? Using our sustainable villages for the Indigenous peoples we give for free, debt-free, zero-emission green infrastructure with less than 1% impact on our native environment. We set them up, for free, bro. Can we have your vital resources, please? We'll bring in the mining companies that are environmentally friendly, won't do any damage to your environment, because we're going to cancel our contract with them if they do. All right? And we'll make sure that we'll bring in the consultants to make sure, the environmentalists, to make sure that they are using safe processes to preserve your wilderness areas, right? So we'll look after you. It's not going to cost you anything. We'll supply it for free. Because when you give us those mining leases, they can be worth a hell of a lot more than the sustainable village that we give for you for free. You see, because day before yesterday, actually last week, I was at the Parmelia Hilton Hotel talking to these guys that are into lithium. They're building the lithium production facilities, right? And I've got a friend on Thursday, on the 19th, I'm meeting up with a friend of mine. He runs a lithium factory. I got all the information now. He said it's worse than working with uranium. Yeah, but he's very clever. So anyway, what these guys told me, that Volkswagen has prepaid 300 billion, not million, but billion, to tie up the resources contracts for the lithium, from the mining through to production, everything. If they can tie those up, they believe that they will be able to sell their environmentally friendly automobiles run on electricity using the lithium batteries. But what they don't know is when the railway tracks get cut up, there's no lithium going anywhere. They didn't see that one coming, squanders $300 billion. So, for the people that come in behind us, and they want resources security, because we're all the relatives in the underworld that are driving this Agenda 21 rebellion and cutting up all those railway tracks. So we just say, hey, cuz, because they're my cousins, can you make sure you don't cut up those railway tracks there that bringing the lithium to the coast to go to our high-tech manufacturing plants? Is that cool with you? No sweat, bro. Because they're my cousins. So driving it. And I don't get involved in the underworld. I've avoided them for 45 years. They made rallies. The only reason I caught up with them was they were at my brother's funeral, and he was high up in the underworld. I'm giving the eulogy and there's all these Roman criminals in the audience and I'm like, whoa, hey my brothers, I love ya. So it was all the underworld. So, but they've made a pledge to me, my brother, look after our children, we'll look after your interests. And I said, better than that, I will give you equity. At the world regional companies, man, those are $1 billion equity, man. I'll give it for free because you're my cousins. You're on, bro! Now they're bringing in all the underworld from Asia. They're backing us, they're going to protect us. So we're not worried about anything. And the interesting thing was the underworld from Asia, they, first thing they look at, when was your company incorporated and on what date? And was it according to feng shui? Yes, it was, my brother. And where it was registered, the business was at 221 St. George's Terrace, level 29, right at the top, right? So, the owner of that building, he's Chinese. And in that building, there are 6 Chinese banks. So you can rest assured the feng shui has been done. So the Mary set up according to feng shui. That's what you do. So this is all good, eh? You know. And, wasn't it? So that's starting to well off track again. No worries. So that, as I'm saying, we're talking about setting up all these queues of people coming to find us because they share our vision for our children and for our church's children, both indigenous and non-indigenous, and we don't give a hoot the car your parents drive, where you live, and if you live in a slum, we are going to do even more to look after you, okay? Because you're an unprivileged and you're an underdog, what they call an underdog in society, and they're the ones we back. So we're on your side, we'll help you out, give you education, give you a pathway to happiness and enjoyable employment, working and living within one of our sustainable villages or sustainable cities in paradise, where you don't have to work for a living because they're all debt-free, zero emission infrastructure that we own outright, no debt. You don't have to work. You just get up in the morning, go and do some rhymes, make some music, go do some dance, go to breakfast, which is all being cooked for you. Awesome, what a lifestyle. That's what it's going to be. No currencies. You won't be currency slaves. You won't have any debt because you don't need anything. We'll supply everything. And you can live a happy life. If you've got severe and significant mental health disorders at the moment, don't worry about it, we'll fix that too. It's cakes through link break technology. So you'll be able to get a happy life. These are the ultimate safe lifestyle destinations of the future. So as I say, we're creating the queues of all the political leaders, of all the mining, petroleum companies to supply cheap oil to keep the economies functioning. You see, because if they don't have cheap oil and the price of oil goes up, then the price of petrol at the pump goes up, so does the price of food. And the moment the price of food goes up and people got no food, they'll do what they did at Hurricane Katrina, where they looted the shops in broad daylight. You know, ordinary, decent people who didn't commit crimes were now committing crimes because they were hungry. And if you do your research on what happens in recessions and the Great Depressions, you'll find that the game changes when people are hungry, particularly in the developed world. Wealthy developed nations are going to get very nasty, whereas in the impoverished nations that are used to it, starvation, they're not going to get nasty, they'll still remain peaceful. So all your high-end nations that are going to have no petroleum and no coal, no electricity in their homes, and turn into nasty brutes, and if they're using meth, right, when the price of petrol goes up, so you're paying $40 a week now, when it goes up to $200 to $400 a week next year, what's that petrol in your car worth? And is it worth stealing? And I'm an aeronautical engineer by profession. I'm also a qualified automotive engineer by profession. And we know how easy it is to get the fuel out of your tank. We just need to undo the outlet pipe underneath and drain it out. Drain your tank. You can't really predict that, right? The other thing is, what our Indigenous brothers do who sniff petrol in the outback, they get a screwdriver and a hammer and they whack a hole in it, fill up their bottle to go and sniff. You know how long it takes to do that? Because I've done it myself, but I wasn't sniffing. No, it was because when my brother died last year, there was a vehicle on the property that we needed to get taken away, and before the company would take it away, they said you need to whack a hole in the bottom of the fuel tank to drain the fuel before we crushed the vehicle. Oh yeah, no, so I did it because I'm an engineer. Jumped on the vehicle, screwdriver, whack, bang, there was a hole in it, drained all the petrol out. That's how quick it takes to get that petrol out of your fuel tank. So if that petrol is now worth, if you've got a full tank of gas, and at the moment full tank of gas here in Australia is about $100, so if it's 5 to 10 times the values, it could be valued at $1,000 for that same tank full of gas. And what's happening in New Zealand is the meth addicts are stealing petrol and giving it to their dealers, and the dealers are giving them meth to keep their addiction going. Right, and that's at a cheap rate. So that's 10 times the cost next year. They'll be all running around, whacking holes in the bottom of these tanks and draining your fuel tank. So if you're driving a flash car, yours is going to be the first target. Just whack a hole at the bottom or undo the pipe. But the whacking the holes is easier. It's a piece of cake. You know, and then they just drain it, go and it only take about 10 minutes, drain the whole lot. I mean, $1,000 in 10 minutes. Even corporate executives aren't making that sort of money, but the meth addicts will. So that means all the meth addicts are going to get right into this. Goodbye petroleum. Right, so what petroleum you got in your car, mate? You're going to have to keep someone standing on guard at the Bloomers shopping centre. We're in a hard time coming, right? So it's what we're concerned about is the riots that are going to happen when, particularly in the high-end nations, people are going to riot if there's no food. It's not like India, they're used to it. Bangladesh, they're used to it, starvation. But not in the high-end nation, they're not going to take it. You know, suddenly their lifestyle has changed because they've got no electricity in the home to use anything, and they've got no food, and they've got no damn petrol to run their damn cars to go and see all their friends. They're going to riot, I'll guarantee. I'll bet you $10,000 they're going to riot. Do your research on recessions. Now, this is the paper this morning, and what it says here, corporate pessimism here in Australia, right? A subdued domestic economy and increasing risk from an uncertain global outlook has Australian companies taking a cautious view of the year ahead. And this is the Prime Minister Scott Morrison said that the economy is soft. You know, see these slimy politicians, they play on words. Instead of saying that we're on the verge of a recession, he says it's soft. 2013 corruption index, the most corrupt organisation on the planet is politicians. It's not surprising. He's changing the wording, so he doesn't tell the truth. It's soft, right? It's a difficult time for corporate Australia, says Matt Sherwood, Perpetual's head of investment strategy. He said there's not a lot of revenue growth out there because the economy is, again, soft. Instead of saying in the crap, right, it's soft, and the global picture is quite clouded at the moment, mate. The global economy's in the crap. Right, sales estimates were missed by 65% of the 134 top 200 companies that reported annual earnings in August, with technology the only sector to have a more positive surprises than the negative, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. And they're a pack of liars, right? Because the gas, LNG industry here is booming, big time. It's booming. I got this from the guys in the industry. And so that's not mentioned on there, is it? And they haven't mentioned on there that the renewables is 28 times more productive than any other industry. That's not it. They're a bunch of liars. So, but what's interesting is it says here that the technology sector, positive, and virtual reality is the one you're going to be in. Virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and hologram technologies. That's the future. You got at the front end of this wave, right? It's still a rising global revolution, and we're at the front end of it. And by live streaming this top secret, world first sustainable nation building industry conference, whoa, to all the world leaders, and you'll be able to download it later as webinar replays to see what we were talking about. And there's the queues are gonna get much bigger, and I'm gonna be the bouncer on the door. How cool is that? And now there's no one here. US factory data drags stocks down. Data showing US factory activity has shrunk for the first time in 3 years, made for a somber day on the local stock market yesterday. It is the latest sign that a global manufacturing slowdown is weighing on the US economy amid rising trade tensions between Washington and Beijing. But you see, Harry Dent and all the economists and industrialists and all that, they agree that the developed nations, because they've already built all the infrastructure, they got all the high consumption and everything, well, what more can you sell? Whereas over in Africa, undeveloped nations, they haven't got any infrastructure. They haven't got any digital infrastructure, they haven't got any houses and roads and all that. But we're saying, don't build roads, it's stupid, leave the environment intact. Your rivers are there, they're free infrastructure. You don't need to build roads, tunnels, highways, freeways that support the fossil fuel industries. You don't need car parks, central business districts, industrial corridors, rural road transport systems. You don't need that rubbish. Just use the rivers, cost you nothing. And you don't need deep water ports. No, just dig out the side of the jetty so that the high-speed ships aquaplane across the top and then through the lagoon, and then they get to the jetty and just drop into the deep water. Problem solved. No deep water, billion-dollar deep water ports, and then they just lift out and take off, across the top of the lagoon, which means we can build our cities anywhere without massive disruptions of the local ecosystem and the marine ecosystem. We're digging out deep water ports. It's tragic. So, minimal impact on our natural environment. So as you see there, the developed world is going to be closing down because all the consumption, it's not going to be happening, because goodbye China, goodbye India, when the coal export industry to China and India is ground to a halt in less than 90 days time, when all those railway tracks over east get cut up because the drop saws have already been positioned by the underworld, ready to cut them up, and to not live stream, but to upload all the videos of the train derailments when they go flying off the tracks, and there's a rapper there standing there, a Maori rapper, rapping this rap song about the injustices of going through sacred sites of our Indigenous brothers. And also the injustices are linked into Agenda 21. You've got to read it, folks, on YouTube. Agenda 21 by Rosa Kiore, Kiore, 20-minute video. Watch that, it will change your life. The greatest threat to humanity, actually second greatest threat to humanity, mass population displacement is number one, and I'll talk about that another time. Climate change is number three. Right? You've got to get a look at number one first. Mass population displacement. What's the solutions to it? Solutions is rapid mass production of sustainable villages, sustainable cities, providing quality living, quality lifestyles, no currency slaves, no debt, zero infrastructure debt, zero debt for all the inhabitants, because everything's free. Before colonisation, us Indigenous peoples did not have to pay taxes on our land, on our automobiles, on our food, on every damn thing that you buy in this high consumption, fossil fuel and automobile based economies. It was our land. We could build anywhere we wanted it. We didn't have politicians telling us what to do, how to run our economies. enforcing all this rubbish thinking, Anglo-American rubbish thinking, with the pathetic English languages that the word to has, what, 3 or 4 different meanings? What a pathetic language. And then all the swear words. Our Maori language didn't have any swear words, except for one, poor cockahua. And you're just a dirty pig. That's about the worst we ever said. Now, in adopting the white man's language, English, you've got the most foul, disgusting language on the planet. So, you know, before colonisation, where were we? We were not paying taxes. We're going back to that. If we own the construction outright, then we don't pay taxes. Now, Volkswagen prepaid $300 billion for lithium. If we are supplying all the indigenous villages with all the vital resources throughout Africa, with free, wonderful, sustainable villages, so they can enjoy their dance, their arts and crafts, live their lifestyle in harmony with our wildlife, we are doing them a big favour, and they are going to give us those leases. And as I say, my friends here in WA, by the way, they've got the lithium on their properties, and I'm saying to them, I don't know, work with us, bro. We'll make sure your railway tracks stay intact, all right? First thing. And second thing, we'll make sure you get the best price that you paid up front, just like Volkswagen paid $300 billion. We'll make sure you get it up front, bro. Not later on through deception, but up front. It's the same with all the vital resources. We can get it all up front. So the key is, build the sustainable villages for our indigenous brothers. Treat them with respect and dignity. Do win-win deals where nobody loses. And we look after their children using technology. Get the best training and sustainability. And 5 of the 6 key technologies are social. Right? If they have mental problems, we'll fix those too. We'll bring more of the best health technologies to get them right. And the old people. And you've got to remember, in our precincts, it's not like working for BHP where you work and slave your guts out for 20 years and then they give you a gold watch and say thank you very much, you're out. No more income. Not with us. It's indigenous. You get a lifetime cradle to grave employment and habitation contract. That means when you're over the working age, it's a lifetime. You stay there, costs you nothing, it's all free. And we'll even, when you do pass on, we'll even pay for your funeral. Right, and part of our concept is that we set up a funeral fund, so any of our Maori people here in Australia pass away, we fly the body back to New Zealand. Our corporation will pay for everything, including flying the family back, if necessary. So we have the funeral fund, so, you know, lifetime cradle to grave, employment and habitation contract. We're there to look after you to the day you die, and for all of your offspring coming into the world, we'll pay for the bassinets and everything else that you need, right, to see them right, the young married couples that have children. How wonderful is that? So when you look after the children, look after the old people too. It's an indigenous concept. Get rid of the currency slaves, free them by the corporate owned and operated precincts, right? If Volkswagen paid $300 billion up front for the lithium, visiting all the world's vital resources from Africa, hey, you fellas all pay up front, okay, before we even dig a hole. That's how it works. So it's interesting, back in the 90s, there were 2 mining company magazines, because, you know, like, Western Australia is like the equivalent of Silicon Valley for technologies. Mining and petroleum, it's Western Australia. Now, one of them, the companies, was owned by a friend of mine, and he was charging, back in the 90s, $40 for a mining magazine, you know. But in there, he was running these conferences every year on mining, where all the big corporations came here to Perth, and they saw all the Mack trucks, all the big trucks for mining, all the different anything to do with mining was there at the conference. and yes, we made a lot of his money. But there's one other mining magazine, and the editor is Kiwi, and he said to me, you know what? By law, I'm not allowed to buy investments in any of these mining companies because we get all the inside information. But he said, I'll tell you something. He said, there's a mining company mining silver. He said, do you know what? They put about 100 million a year. He said, I went up to their mine site, have a look at it. It's listed on the stock exchange. Everything's legal but board. They're not doing anything illegal. He said, but they haven't dug a hole yet. So how do you generate 100 million without digging a hole in the ground? He says, no, they haven't actually dug a hole yet. I said, this is how it works. He says, they put the application and everything for the asset and investments and all that. It's a legally listed company. But he says what they have is they have 5 workers up there. They have a couple of geologists, the manager, and a couple of labourers. And all they're doing is seismic readings and saying every year that, oh look, there's this amount of silver under the ground here, which is going to generate this amount of money. They put in their prospectus, raise another 100 million the next year. That's how it works, mate. He said, no. See, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but that's how it works. They haven't dug a hole. You see, it's the same with the lithium companies. You know, because of the demand on lithium, Volkswagen forked out 300 billion in advance before they dug a hole. So you don't have to list on the stock exchange, folks. You just have to prove that you have the minerals underground. You see, I've been watching these stupid Rio Tinto and all them, and they're using drones and everything to work out all the copper under the ground and all that. Mate, we use satellite technology, right? There's 4 satellites, fly over the sky. A friend of mine noticed them one day, said, oh, how come there's satellites up there? And I told him whose they are. I said, yeah, those flashes you see, that's nuclear photography going 1,000 feet under the ground, and it feeds back in frequencies what's under the ground. So gold's got a frequency, oil, gas, water, all have different frequencies. It feeds back in 3D, right? And so they can look underground and see that, oh yeah, over here there's a vein of gold, and over here there's a vein of silver. And they actually went over a gold mine and said, hey, look there, they missed the gold vein by 1 foot. That's how accurate this technology is. So we're able to go over our Indigenous brothers' lands and say, oh yeah, you got X amount of silver sitting over here. You got, oh, lithium over here, we need that. Can we have that road? I'll take the lease off you. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, we'll make sure you get paid in advance, okay? Yeah, before we dig a hole. Yeah, we don't even need to list it. Just, this is the way it works now. This is a changing ball game. So we'll make sure our Indigenous brother gets looked after, and then we've got resources security for our high-tech manufacturing hubs throughout Africa. So it's smart. And then when they build these manufacturing plants, we'll simply build a sustainable village on the side of it for the workers to live in there, as will cost the road to go and work in the factory or whatever, and make sure everybody's happy doing what they're doing. And that's where the happy training comes in. So follow us, and just remember what we're doing with the African nations is we're providing resources security, we're bringing in finance and technology transfer from the wealthy developed nations to get the hell out of their nations because they're going to implode and get too violent to live in. When I went to see, and by the way, this was 10 years ago, I went to IBM headquarters in Perth. I said, listen, I want to know if you could handle the digital infrastructure for us for these sustainable cities to link them, maybe through optic fibre under the ocean. Anyway, I talked to them for half an hour. They wanted to know what we did, I told them. And then one of them left the room, one of the directors left the room, and he came back in 15 minutes later and he goes, are you available tomorrow? I go, why? So I just been on the phone for 15 minutes talking to one of our top executives in the world headquarters of IBM, and he wants to fly here to Australia to talk to you tomorrow. They said, what about? He said, he wants to know about you building these sustainable cities in paradise. I said, no, sorry mate, but I only come here to conduct research to see if you can handle the infrastructure side. And not to sell the business, I'm not selling anything. I'm just doing research. So no, sorry, I have to decline that one. You see, because those IBM, they clicked on straight away when they heard our vision and the sustainable cities in paradise, because they knew that we could build a sustainable city in paradise for 30,000 of their personnel, because they're a service-based industry, and bring the whole lot out, hook them to satellite technologies, and they could do their business from there. But their people are safe. Their people are living quality lifestyles with no debt, right? They're not currency slaves, and they're working, doing jobs they love to do, and they'll go the extra mile for IBM. These boys click straight ahead. What were they prepared to do? From the executive, to jump on a plane, take action, come and talk to me, right? Ernst & Young did the same. Bang, just like that. As soon as they saw the 3 PowerPoint presentations, they just knew, and they didn't know what we knew about re-engineering the Toyota systems of the multinational quasi-independent organisation corporate structure to drive the systems of manufacturing, where everybody wins and nobody loses, right? And when they learned that from me, they were like, mate, it's just unbelievable. Committed themselves straight away. And this is what people do. They jump on our train, on our locomotive. It stops at your station and it moves on. We don't reverse a locomotive to pick up people who are losers, who never got on when the opportunity was there. IBM executive, IBM is big because IBM act. They acted on what they heard, and I was only there doing research. And they know that we can set them up. Or the other big tech companies know, and actually they don't know, that's not true, when they see and watch what we have in this Sustainable Nation Building Industry conference, when they watch the replays, they're going to get in the queues saying, can you build us one of those cities? And it's a bit like the lithium. Okay, put $100 billion up front before we build a monorail, before we do anything. Put your money on the table, bro, and we'll sign a contract. We're in business, right? And we don't need to dig a hole. Remember what I told you about the silver mine? You don't need to dig a hole. You just need to have the resources, and we can prove it with the satellite technologies, right? With the nuclear photography. There it is. You got that much lithium there. You got that much water. You got that much gold. You got that much gas. Water. We can show you a piece of cake. So, put your money on the table. Take action. First action you got to do is register with us for this first top secret Sustainable Nation Building Industry Conference, live stream to you from so it'll be a bit like good morning Vietnam but we're talking the whole planet. So that's it. And you're going to really love doing business with us. You're going to really love Fraser Tahoe and his corporate team he's bringing in. Fabulous, man. They're just lovely sorts. And they'll be driving it. No, I'm going to go and concentrate on our virtual reality music concerts. Because I love music. I just love music. And we've got to build those 25, 10-story high, passive solar design buildings before we launch our SCIP Live Aid benefit concerts for Africa. Right? And hey, it's a year from that. Must like what I heard. Or someone's talking about me. There you go. Now, the benefits for our client nations is that we're transforming your economies into sustainable economies. No fossil fuels. Right. No automobiles, you don't need that rubbish. Yeah, you don't need electric motor cars either. How the heck are you going to charge it? Right? If you got no electricity. And if you can't get renewables, because there's a queue of about 20 million people in front of you. $300 billion waste of money. So, at the end of the day, we're sitting on a winner. Yeah, we're sitting on a winner. And I got the team take over from me, and I'm getting out of there. I'm going to go and do my music, man. I just love music. I love promoting music, and we're doing the old school R&B from 65 to 85 revival, and our clean, happy hip hop music and dance civilization for integration into our sustainable cities in paradise. And the old people say, I want to put my opera in there, and I want to put in my country music. Oh, you get lost. Sorry, we're not building these precincts for you older generations. We're building the 80% of the inhabitants be aged 6 to 16, and they want a really cool culture, which is what we're bringing in. So there you go. And the other 20%, by the way, will be their parents, siblings and grandparents over the age 16, and also the single individuals and married couples without children who get through our happy training curriculum and qualify for a lifetime cradle to grave employment and habitation contract, living for free in our wonderful, magnificent, sustainable villages in paradise and our sustainable cities in paradise. And when you see our PowerPoint presentations, you are going to be really, really impressed. So I do things outside the box. I don't really give a damn what people say about my presentations. Virtually every one of my videos got a mistake in it. I really think about it. Don't shoot the messenger. Just get the message, you clowns. And don't expect me to play by this so-called professionalism. I just give you the information. You either run with it, jump on the train, or sit on there and watch us drive off. You know, not drive off, roll off on the rails. So I think I covered everything here. Oh, and by the way, in building these high-tech manufacturing hubs, rebuilding your economy without automobiles and fossil fuels, without bridges and tunnels and highways, freeways, motorways, suburban roads, central business districts, industrial corridors, pipelines for oil and gas and water pipelines and all that, big major pipelines, you know, all that rubbish. The darn river's there, it's free. There's your transport infrastructure. And the monorail system, once it's in place, you automate, you don't even need drivers, right? There's your transport systems, transport-orientated development. No fossil fuels, no car crashes, no people being hurt, no road rage, no car parking hassles, right? Beautiful. Just cruise down the river on a boat or a canoe, and then walk through the bush to one of our communities, lead all your rallies and your friends, all happy, do a bit of singing and a bit of dancing, bust out some rhymes with some freestyle rap or whatever, do a bit of beatboxing, whatever, do a bit of dancing. There you go, no pressure, enjoy the wildlife. Had a little guinea pig, or talk to a parrot. What a life, eh? That's an awesome life. And not in a rush, because you're not doing a 9-to-5 job. We didn't have 9-to-5 jobs before colonisation. It was just cruise, maritime, bro. So, and remember this, it's a concept of giving. When we give a sustainable village to our Indigenous brothers, when we treat them with dignity and respect, we learn how to their language with their greetings, because we're really, really interested in all the Indigenous cultures. We just love their dance. We don't know what they're saying, but we love their dance and their movements, so we can feel the energy coming off their bodies when they're expressing their stories and things. Man, that is life. And we don't have to know what they're singing. We just feel it, right? And because we love them and we respect them, and we do it things according to their culture, not according to what we believe and what we want to believe in. We're not pushing things onto them. Not our damn land, it's theirs. When you're doing country in their country, do things their way. But Fraser will teach you all that. He's the master of harmony in our communities. I've got to concentrate on a lot of the other areas. Well, my concentration is on the music concerts. So this is where we're at, folks. We've got real good things happening, and when we boost the economies in throughout Africa by bringing the transfer of finance and technologies, which are cryptocurrencies, by the way, that we're bringing in. It's certainly not the Rothschild banks. So when we're bringing that in, high-speed transaction networks, cryptocurrency base. So we're bringing all that in, and that handles that area, and then also all the technologies for building the manufacturing hubs to manufacture our products, environmentally friendly products, for delivery to our construction sites just on time. The manufacturing plants require a lot of employees, which provides training for the people, gets them off the streets, gets them into accommodation. We build the sustainable villages for them beside the factory plant, so the workers live there and everybody wins, you see. So the growth and productivity of the nation will be growing, and as it says here in the newspaper here in America, the US factory activity has shrunk for the first time in 3 years, and it's going to shrink even further, big time, when there's no electricity. Right. No electricity in the cities there, 100% depend on coal. And then the price of oil is going to really skyrocket. Fuel prices skyrocket, and you're going to see those stocks, that will drag the stocks down even further. So as all the world leaders and the economists and stock market analysts like Harry Dent say, the developed world are closing down, and the developing world, the frontier and emerging markets, are going to grow in productivity and growth, right? Because they're going to have all these new high-tech manufacturing hubs using AI and robotics and everything else, and providing employment, providing housing for their people free of cost, no infrastructure debt. Because we just say to Volkswagen or Toyota, give us $300 billion for the lithium, and we'll make sure that your railway tracks don't get cut up. Because we're indigenous, we look after our brothers. There you go. So we think outside the box. We're not interested in putting our business on the stock markets, which is designed to rip people off, and we're going to have experts speak on that at some stage too. So we're, and it's like Martin Pritchard says, you only have to do two things: solve people's problems and improve their quality of life. And you do that by positioning your nation, your corporations, at the front end of raising global paradigm shifts or new revolutions. And if you come along to through the virtual world to our Sustainable Nation Building Industry Conference, you're going to learn what those 6 rising global revolutions are and how to position your nation and your corporations at the front end of it. Because if you come in at the back, you're a loser, right? If you look at the billionaires out there, they were at the front end of the revolutions. Like Bill Gates was at the front end of software development. He didn't come in later on, he got at the front. You get at the front, you stay at the front. And you do this through nation building and a sustainable nation building. The number one word in business, in politics, in religion, in banking, you name it, in indigenous nations now, number one word is sustainability. Let the number one sustainability expert on the planet backing us. He's the number one non-indigenous sustainability expert. I was telling this partner from the big law firm from America, I was saying, Peter, he's number one in the world, non-indigenous sustainability expert. He said, well, I'm number one, indigenous sustainability expert. He said, oh, that's impressive. No, it's not. The only reason I'm the number one, I'm the only one in the industry. There isn't any others. So I'm number one. I didn't earn it. I didn't need to earn it. I just went out and I did 14 sustainability projects over 30 years, and 3 of them were Peter Newman. So, there you go. I'm number one, but not because I'm a hero and not because I'm clever. Certainly not. No, just because I'm now in the industry. Because you see, that's a white fella's industry. They cut us out of it. But I was working on the side there, nice and quietly, plugging away. They didn't know I was doing it. Yeah, I stayed silent, kept secret. So, yeah, relatives like mine from the underworld, you know, you got to keep secrets, bro, because of your life. So there you are, we're on a winner. So, keep following us and contact us and make an inquiry about attending this fantastic Sustainable Nation Building Industry Conference. Right, we're on to it. Catch you later.